Hello and welcome to Tony's Bonsai. I've just been round the garden, I've collected these trees. They've all got either Irish moss or liverwort on them, so I need to sort that out and maybe do some pruning. Most of these trees have not been featured on my channel before, and I'm pretty certain this one hasn't. It's a magnolia. I really like the shape of it, and I bought 3 of these. I thought they were fantastic. And I didn't realise how big the leaves are. They're absolutely huge, so I'm going to keep this one. The other two, one's going to my parents and the other's going to my sister's house. But I think I want to do some pruning on this and sort out the Irish moss. I suspect most of you are familiar with Irish moss, but if you're not, it's this kind of star-shaped one. I think it looks quite nice, but it's very bad to have in your pot. I'll just take it out of here, see what the roots look like. There. I didn't really want to be taking this out at this point, but I need to with that moss. Unlike other weeds, when you've got Irish moss, you can't really just get away with pulling it off the surface because it's got roots that go right down. That's why it's a real nuisance. Like, I could pull this off here, like that, and you think, oh, I've got rid of it, but you haven't. The roots are there and it'll just keep coming back. So yeah, I need to get rid of all this soil. This is not terrible soil that this plant is planted in. Looks to be quite well draining. It has got probably a bit too much organic matter in it though. This was back when I was using quite a lot of compost in the mix. So first thing is to just take all of this top layer off. I'm just using my fingers. I quite like, when you're working with decent soil like this, I quite like using my hands to loosen the soil up. Often it's quite a gentle approach. Need to get rid of these worms. There's loads of worms in this. And this is all these roots are coming away nicely. It's got quite a nice root system, this. In amongst these roots, I do have the odd weed. They're not big and they're quite hard to spot, but you need to sort of get them all out. There's one there. If you don't remove those, they'll just grow back. And now I need to look at this actually as a bonsai and see what the root base looks like. It's not good. Got a massive lump here. We've got a bit of an ugly root there. Looking at this, I'm thinking, that's quite awful. This is not good. But if I remove these, loads of the roots going to be disappearing, but I think I've got no choice. This root's awful. Sometimes you look at roots like this and they're so bad. I do wonder, would I be better giving that to my mum, telling her to put it in the garden and just grow it as a tree like she wants? And that's kind of what I'm thinking. I'm thinking, is there any point trying to make a decent nebari out of that? They're all growing upwards. So no, I think I'll give up on that. So I've decided not to bother with that one. But I've been out and got these other two. These are the ones I was going to give to my mum and my sister. I think I'll have a look at these, and if either of these are good, I'll just switch it around and keep the good one. I'll start with this one, because I think this has got quite a nice, pleasing base. Although is that better? No, I think I'll go with the thicker one. Let's try this and see what it's like. It's got a good root system. Seems to be healthier than the first tree. I'll just take a look. I'll get rid of these weeds off the top and then take a look and see if the nabari is any better on this. Can't be worse. Or can it? Right, from the top here then. It seems better. There's no big knuckle coming upwards anyway. That's quite a positive start. Yeah, that's looking much better. Much more workable as a bonsai. These roots are washed off now. They're definitely better than the first ones. They're quite nice. We've got a very bulbous root there. And then we've got some kind of big clump of roots here that sort of stops and then goes vertically down. So, certainly challenging. But I am wondering if perhaps I could turn it into some kind of exposed root. Like that. The only problem is this one coming out here to the side. So I'm going to think about getting rid of that. Yeah, could chop that off. It's quite a lot of the roots, but it seems to have a fairly decent root system on it, this one. So I either chop that and then go for some kind of exposed root, or I check out that other tree and maybe that's better. I may still go back to that other one, but I may as well check this out seeing as it's here. I've got nothing to lose. And, you know, this could have a beautiful root base to it. I'm not thinking so based on the other trees, but you just never know. If this one doesn't look like it's got good potential, I'm not going to bother cleaning the roots off this. I'm just going to explore just around the trunk. Right, we've got one thick root there. It's coming out and twisting around. That's not good. Then it goes down to nothing. Oh no. And then when I put my finger down here, there's like a big hole with nothing. So, no. This isn't going to be the one. Seeing as plan C was a non-starter, let's go with back to plan B and cut this big root here off. Right, how much root have I removed? A lot. But I knew there was a lot coming off there, to be fair. So it's kind of the centre in here where there's some fairly big roots twisted up. I think I'll just have to pull. And that's a fair bit of it out. Just this one root here. Ah, there, that's good. That's good. I didn't have to tear that root off. Excellent. So, I'd say I removed around a third of the roots there. I don't think these are perfect for exposed root, but I don't think I've got any other choice. I think developing a brand new radial nabari for this will be extremely difficult. So I'm just going for it. I'm just gathering the roots together like that. And just creating the basket like that. Who knows? That might be all right, that. My plan now is to just sort of spread these roots out, sort of as radially as I can out of the bottom of the wire. I'll get some soil in first. Then I'll spread these roots out like that. Push it down. And just fill on top of them. And then what I will try is just to get some of this bonsai soil down into these roots. Oh, there we go. It's safe to say that wasn't the plan when I started working on these magnolias, but who knows? Might be something quite interesting, that. Next up, we've got a Zelkova serrata, or a Japanese grey elm. This has got a huge scar, and it was one of 4 and I removed this last year from the clump because it just didn't fit in with the composition. So I've got this as a tree on its own. It's had a good healthy year, even though it hardly had any roots, but it's covered in Irish moss, so I need to do something. With it having this large wound, I wanted to just leave it this year. It started rolling over, but I would have just liked to leave it to heal over, but you know, what can you do? Because it had so few roots, I had to tie it in with wire to support the trunk because it was just like wobbling over. It'll be interesting to see how well this has done in 1 year. Right, now this is Irish moss. See that? See all this white stuff on the edge? That's a sign that your pot is infested with Irish moss. And this gets thicker and thicker and goes more and more slimy when it gets wet. And that is not mycorrhiza. This means you've got to sort this out, this tree. So this is in a really nice soil as well. When I potted this up, I had a load of pumice, akadama, lava rock. So this is in like a premium soil. And the moss is still grown on it, so, ah well. If I left this as it was, in that container with that moss on it, it would just slowly go downhill all year, this tree. It would just get less and less healthy and become less and less vigorous. And I'd be looking, if you didn't know, you'd look at it and say, that tree's dying. So it will be interesting to see if I can get a decent root flare on this once I show you this big stump. I'd be lying if I said this was a good result. Look at that. It's a shocker. This came off here. This is where I removed it from the main clump, and basically it's put all of its roots out from that end. Hardly anything from here. And this has got this can't be used in a composition like that because this is a lot thinner than this. So I think this is a case for probably a future air layer. I'll just get this going healthy as I can, and then I'll probably air layer it up here nearer the top, cut out that big scar and have a nice, more compact tree. As bad as that result was, you know, you win some, you lose some. The main thing was the clump that I got it out of. That had a fantastic root spread. So you can't win them all. Next up, we've got a little beni maiko. It's one of those small ones I picked up for £2 in the autumn. And this needs some pruning. It is alive, it's growing quite well, but the soil it's in isn't great. Again, a couple of weeks ago would have been perfect for this tree. But the leaves are only just now beginning to open up and the buds are just swelling, a lot of the buds on it. So it's not a bad time, and there's no sort of fresh root tips. So it's probably actually a really good time to do this kind of work on a tree like this. Looks to be quite promising, this. This is one of those root flares that kind of comes downwards as opposed to going like out at 90 degrees. This one goes down in the way you see this sort of Japanese pines created. Right, at last we've got some decent roots. Look at the nice spread there all around. I think it looks good. There's only this one root here that's quite thick. I could look at removing that one. That is kind of the sort of tap root that goes down. But if I cut that off there... No, I don't think I want to. I think I'm happy to just have that coming out like that. I will just take off just a couple of the very longest ones. Well, that's all. I put some screen tape in the bottom of the pot, in with some bonsai soil. And then I've selected this shallower pot than the one it was in because I'm hoping this will allow me to sort of spread these roots out a bit more. A bit like that. This tree should be nice and happy in this pot now for a couple of years. Hopefully it'll have some good root development, and I really just need to sort of allow it to grow and develop. There are, as I said earlier, a few branches that just need pruning off. These are dead. So it's pretty basic. I'm just sort of removing everything that's long. You see, this one here is way too long. However, I don't want to cut that back. I want this to grow. I want this tree to put down roots and develop. And it won't do that if I'm hacking all the buds off. There were 3 other trees on the table when I started that I need to do similar kind of jobs to, but I've run out of time today. I need to head off. I've got somewhere to go. So that's me done for today. As always, thanks for joining me. Have a great day, and I'll see you soon.